Creep Night, sure to send chills down your spine. Welcome to Creep Night. In this story, we're about to uncover what may lie under your floors. It had not been long since I moved into my first home. My husband was in the kitchen, and I was looking around the place, and I noticed that my floors seemed a little odd, but in the back of my mind, it was a great deal. I mean, we only got the house for $150,000, and that was relatively cheap, as I do recall. And as my husband did wash the dishes, I was still looking around the house, trying to figure something out, but I could not quite figure out what I was searching for. My husband began making dinner, like he usually does every night, and this time it just seemed a little off. Like something was around, but we couldn't figure out what. I decided to put it in the back of my mind, and I'd figure this out later. I had a whole kitchen to redecorate, new floors to put in, so I did not really have time to worry about what I thought was in my house. On the day I began to sweep my floor, I had noticed something in the middle of the floor, almost as if the floor had bubbled up and was beginning to pop off. I went over to investigate the floor. I did not see really anything unusual until I bent down. At first, I only heard a little tinker of a whisper, but I couldn't make out exactly what it had said until the second time I heard it very clearly. "Release me." The voice had made my hair stand up. I was a little terrified, so I decided maybe it was an idea to go sit down. Maybe I'd been working too hard. Maybe I had hallucinated the voice. But I knew this. I needed to definitely go relax. I sat down in the living room. I was sitting on my blue sofa, and I wasn't really paying attention after that when I heard the same voice. "Release me." Except this time, it had gotten closer, and I couldn't tell exactly where it was coming from. Once again, I figured it was just all in my head, so I went back to relaxing. I decided to watch a little bit of TV, but as I was sitting there listening to the TV, I heard it again. "Release me, release me." And it kept getting louder and louder. "Release me, release me." I looked over at my husband, who clearly did not hear what I was hearing, and maybe he thought I was going insane. "You're just tired from the remodeling. Why don't you just relax?" But the funny thing was I wasn't tired. I didn't feel sleepy, and I really didn't feel like I was going insane. I could hear that voice clearly, very, very clearly. I decided I was going to go back in the kitchen, and I was going to finish investigating the floor. When I bent over and I looked closely at the floor, I noticed a small door. And this wasn't like any door I had ever seen before. The handle was inside of a small hole, and you had to put your two fingers together to pull it up. I decided I was going to pull the door up and see what was in there. I was nervous for some reason, and I could feel my heart beating really loud. I put my fingers down to where the small doorknob was, and I pulled it up. Eep! I was not prepared for what I had seen. It was a small, black, beady, red-eyed little thing just sitting there, looking at me. I heard it say, "Release me." My first reaction, obviously, I slammed the door. And then I walked slowly out of the room. I wanted to scream, and perhaps I would have, if the curiosity had not gotten to my head. I breathed in slowly, and decided I was going to go back in the kitchen again, and this time I was going to open that door, and I was not going to freak out. I slowly made my way back to the door, and when I did, I could still hear it. "Free me, and if you do, I will give you what you most desire." I opened the door, and I looked at it. what I most desire in this world, I cannot tell you because, frankly, I do not know.
Yes, you do.
I thought long and hard. What did I really desire? Was it a lot of jewelry? A lot of money? I didn't really know until I thought of one thing, and one thing only. I drew a long smile across my face because I'd finally realized what I really wanted. I wanted to be the most beautiful woman on earth that no guy could resist and no guy could ever turn down.
Ah, yes. If you release me, I can make you the most beautiful woman in the world, and no man will ever resist you.
And with this, I decided I was going to release him. I picked him up, and I looked at him. He was a black cat with beady red ruby eyes. And you know, the funny thing is, my husband never ever questioned where the cat came from. And nor has he ever questioned how I stay so young and beautiful after the day I swept my floor.
Thank you for tuning in to Creep Night, sponsored by Pizarro.com.